All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever it is. Good night. I mean, this is Friday Night Six Pack, so good night, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am Chris, also known as the Atheist Pastor. We have got a pretty cool show on tonight, actually. We're going to go through, I think, something that needs to be discussed, which is tips for people who are leaving religion. Leaving religion can be a pretty daunting thing. I know for me, it was. I didn't really know how to navigate it. Had to work out a lot of things along the way. So hopefully some of what we're going to go through today is going to be able to help people. I have got some really awesome people who will be coming on. So we've got, of course, the regulars. So, we've got Jay, we've got Jen, and we've got Ed, who will all be here. We have got a very special guest, Oz from the Atheist Roundtable, also known as Tart. I've done a couple of shows with him over on his channel. Now he's repaying and coming over here, and not repaying, actually. He's doing me a massive favour by coming on here. Someone I click pretty well with, so we'll see. I mean, I keep saying that, but if it's a shit show, it is what it is, I guess. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. And we've also got an old friend of the show, Matt, the former Catholic priest. He will be joining us. Both him and Jay are both running slightly late, but that's okay because Matt's coming on at short notice, and Jay has to work, so I'll give him that one. We'll let him off there. On a personal note, been going through a few things lately. Now, some of you have picked up on that. Fortunately, I'm at the end of all that, and life is very good. But just want to do a big shout out to everyone who reached out. There's a lot of love and a lot of care in the community. So thank you to everyone. Next week, Six Pack is going to be. Well, actually, we've got 2 Six Packs next week, which is going to be really cool. So we've got the regular Friday night Six Pack, where we're going to be looking at, as atheists, should we be kinder to religions or how we treat religious people? But then on Sunday, we're doing a Six Pack special. Now, the reason we're doing that is because it will actually be the 1-year anniversary of Six Pack. Six Pack will be turning 1 on not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. So we're going to be doing another show. I haven't told anyone else yet, but I am going to be roping a stack of people into it, whether they like it or not. But that's all right. Now, with that being said, let me bring in our regulars. Well, almost all of our regulars. We're still waiting for Jay because,
we're still waiting for the Jay, man.
Working. I mean, come on, work. Jay has really got to sort his priorities out. I mean, that's cool. All right. We'll have a chat to him. How are you two? How's it all going? How's the week?
Yeah, hot.
Well, I'm the absolute opposite. It's freezing freaking cold. And
can you send some of your cold, and we'll send you some of the hot, and we'll balance it out.
I feel like I'm sitting in an oven at the moment. I've got this little sort of annexure office sort of thing happening. It's got the computer and all this electronic stuff running in here. It's about 1,000 degrees anyway, and it's just all adding on. So
I had to bust out.
You're going to start sweating like a certain lawyer we know.
I had to bust out our extra.
I'm that type of conservative.
My little baby heater here under my chair, trying to record a video yesterday.
It looks like a radio.
I know, it kind of does. It looks like an old-fashioned radio.
Like an old-fashioned radio.
Now that being all that aside, we have got one of our special guests is sitting in the background waiting to come on. So I'm going to bring him on right now. Without further ado, everyone, welcome to Oz. Mate, welcome to Friday Night Six Pack.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hi, Oz.
Or as it's called in some parts of the world, Friday very early in the morning Six Pack.
Yeah.
Very early in the morning.
Mind you, if you're drinking this early in the morning, there's a problem.
I was so tempted. I was like, I don't need that kind of thing going around that I'm just this alcoholic that stays up all night on YouTube talking about atheism and drinking.
What's wrong with that? Hang on. Is there a problem with that?
Or? Oh, there's not? Okay, hold on. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Having said that, I'm not drinking, so Only because I'm I'm only not drinking because I am so tired. If I start drinking, I will probably fall asleep during the stream. So.
Oh well, Jen. I mean, if you're not drinking, there's no point in doing six pack, really.
Bullshit. I'm no better when. I'm a little bit funnier when I'm drunk, only because drunk Jen is funny, but I'm just as bad sober.
Oh, drunk Jinx. Drunk. You know what? I sound like I'm drunk here, but I'm actually gonna confess to something this week. I found a new beer that I like, and it's
you found religion.
Heineken Zero. It's an alcohol-free beer.
Oh,
so and it tastes like Heineken.
The beer is revolting.
Well,
it's actually really good. It's because it's too hot. When it's this hot. And where I am, I will just drink these like they're going out of fashion. And half an hour into the show, if I was drinking normal beer, I'd be a wreck. It would just be terrible.
That's fair enough. So you could mix them up. You could have some real ones and some, and get a bit of a buzz on and have a drink.
I guess if I ever decide to do fake beer again, I'll try the Heineken and not that freaking Coors stuff that I had, because that was absolutely disgusting.
Well, the Heineken, because I drink Heineken normally. It's one of the beers I'll drink normally. I can't tell the difference. It tastes exactly the same. Whereas some of the ones you get there like really bad. But no, this is okay. So I'm cheating as well. I'm still having a beer technically, but
that stuff I had a few months ago that was really bad. It kind of tastes like I was drinking somebody's throw up.
Oh, God.
Oh dear. On that note, so we've got a pretty cool topic to talk about tonight. Top 10 leaving religion. Now, I did give everyone here get a cheat sheet a little bit earlier, so they know what the top 10 tips are. So there's not going to be any surprises. But what we do want to see is some comments and thoughts going on in the chat, because, I mean, we've got our experiences and, everyone's experience is unique. But we want to hear what everyone might have done to, I guess, overcome some of the challenges, or, I guess what they found the good things were or the bad things. So we're really looking for as much engagement today from the chat as we can get. So no pressure, everyone, but if the show's no good, it's not our fault.
It's entirely down to the chat.
Exactly. So what I'll do, let's get the first tip for leaving religion up. I've just got to find the button, and I might throw.
Is that what you say to Lizzie? Is it Lizzie? Is it?
I don't know who Lizzie is, but Lizzie just walked in, and I think she's about to slap me and say, "Who's this Lizzie lady?"
Sorry, it's because I was talking to Lizzie on Twitter before, and I had the name stuck in my head.
Fair enough. It's but that's a good save.
It's very close.
That's a good save, Jen. That was a good save.
It was.
I'll give you that one. Whew. Oh, I was almost coming to live on your couch. The delay's on. She's yelling things out from the the other room now. So she does that. All right. So let's get the first tip. The first tip for leaving religion. I think it's probably it's the most important tip, actually. That's only leave if you can do so safely and the cost isn't too high. So I guess who would like to I guess comment on this one? Who's going to kick it off?
I kind of agree with this, but I kind of don't. But my case is different because my religion was a racist hate group. Leaving creativity, I knew I was putting my life on the line, and I didn't care. And I gave up everything, job opportunities, money, friends, you name it, so it didn't matter. But I don't think that's the same with, your Abrahamic religions. I don't really think most of them are that cultish. You know, if you're,
I don't know. If you're a Fundy Muslim and you leave the religion, and that's Abrahamic,
yeah,
I guess I'd probably be thinking a lot of religions like that, where it's you will literally be killed.
Yeah, if it's more of a cult, then yeah, you're putting your life on the line, and you might need a lot more help than just leaving. You know, you might have to have, you know, an organization or a group of people to help you leave safely. You know,
I think we automatically go straight to physical safety. You know, there's a lot of times where it's a mental health safety, you know, come into the conversation. Like right now, I've been watching a lot of documentaries on Scientology, and they're not necessarily going to go as far as physically harming you or killing you, but they will fuck you up mentally, emotionally, and all that. So, you know, that one's tricky because you want to say, well, I want to get away from it by all means necessary. But until you're put in that position, it's hard to say, oh, I would do X, Y, and Z, because we've not been, you know, at least I haven't.
Someone who leaves Scientology, for instance, they might not be in any physical danger, but their litigation type danger and the psychological hounding that they get can be just as bad in that sense.
Absolutely.
So, and yet getting away from that is still better for them than being stuck in the cult. So
I think a lot of the auditing sessions that they do with people, where they confess all their, you know, everything they've ever done, all that's kept in file with Scientology. So they're not afraid to use that, and they have used that before. Even I guess religions like, and I guess when you look at the cost, you know, religions like say the Jehovah's Witnesses or even Scientology. Actually, that's another good example. When you leave, a lot of people find that their families will shun them. Lloyd Evans, who I you know, he was the first interview I did for the AP podcast. Really good guy, former Jehovah's Witness. But he was telling me that when he left, his father, that was it, just cut him completely off. His father's never met his own grandchild because of the hold the religion has. And that's a decision that you've got to make. And I think it's a decision you've got to be aware of, that sometimes there can be a high cost. Even I guess when I was going through the process in my head, one of the things I was worried about was, if I leave and walk away from faith, am I going to lose my marriage? Mm-hmm. And that was something that I constantly weighed up. Fortunately, when I finally confessed it to her, she told me that she felt the same way, but was worried about telling me. So it was, well, why didn't we have this conversation a year ago? Could have saved ourselves a lot of Sundays. But you never know, do you?
Right. And when you know, when you grow up and you're indoctrinated into it, you know, like I was, the cost, like I wasn't worried about like my physical well-being. I knew I wasn't going to be hurt, but there were a lot of the emotional and mental health aspects that worried me. But my biggest thing was losing everything, you know, because I invested up until that point, I had invested my entire life. My identity, everything I did and I was wrapped up in this thing called religion. And I thought that I had all of these friends, right? And this huge support system and all these people that were rooting me on. They're, you know, they weren't just my friends. They're also my fans, you know, in a sense where they were rooting me on. They wanted me to win. They wanted me to succeed. But the moment that I hung it up, you know, hung that hat on the wall and said, no, this isn't for me anymore. I don't buy into this. And I could still love you guys and care about you guys, but this I'm done with. Even to this day, it's, you know, part of my story that I share. Even to this day, other than my little brother that is the pastor of that church, not one single person has ever called me, texted me, emailed me, dropped by the house, did anything. And I was a very, very active member of that church for 7 years, or no, they've been open for 8 years. So 6 years, you know, in every single Sunday, leading small groups, youth group, the number one drummer, you know, every single Sunday. I was doing all the inner city ministries. Like, it wasn't like I was just I come once a month. I was ingrained into that culture, you know, and still to this day, nothing. So the reason I share all that is I lost all my friends. I went from having what I thought were a bunch of really good friends to no relationships, no support system, nothing.
Yeah, and I can empathise with that. The same thing happened to me. The only phone calls I seem to get from I either got cut off by people. I'll get phone calls and messages from people who are trying to win the pastor back to Christ, because that's worth a lot of Christian points. At the church. Yeah. I think you can. I think you win a ham if you. Yeah, a lot of God points for that one. And I've probably got one person who I would say genuinely is just my friend regardless. Which is nice, and we have some interesting conversations. But yeah, it's amazing how many people who are supposed to be really close friends in your life. Like, I look at the people who came to my wedding, and I'm sort of like, I don't speak to you, have nothing to do with you. And the only thing that changed was I stopped going to church.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. And it's sad when that happens, but and I guess that is something to be prepared for. That, but I guess on the positive, all those relationships weren't genuine.
Exactly.
Those relationships were built around, I think, from my point of view, because I was in leadership. It's if you were in the band, you'd know it's. I was the lead worshipper, so lead singer in the band. People want to be seen, and once again, it's a lot of God points to hang out with the right people, as you, I guess, realize when you reflect on things after leaving. So I think there was a lot of fakery within it. I'll never ever forget, actually, one of the funniest things I ever saw was just before we got married. There was Melissa's small group leader warned her against it, and through all the God rules and this and that, and you've got to watch out for this and got to watch out for that. And I'll never forget seeing her about 6 months later at a pub, all over some guy, and then 2 days later at church. And I was just like, fucking hypocrite. So you get a lot of that within, and because I was in leadership, I sort of was able to sort of recognise that. But the ironies. But there's churches they're full of them, I guess.
You get that a lot with Catholics who will go out and do whatever the fuck they want during the week, and then go and have confession and say, "I'm a good, righteous person." No, you're not.
You're just like me.
Yeah. My favorite Frank Zappa song, "Catholic Girls." I mean, I think Ed. Surely you're old enough to know that one.
I'm sorry, I didn't even hear you.
We're talking about.
Yeah, I heard you say something about Catholic girls, but I didn't catch the beginning.
Now, with that being said, I've got some exciting news. We've got, I'm going to be careful how I say this, but someone who was a priest for a lot of Catholic girls once upon a time, and he's just disappeared. You know what? Just as I was introducing him, you hit a button and he's gone. So I won't be bringing Matt in. I'll scared him off. We've scared off Matt already. So Matt,
at least you did
come back.
At least you said Catholic girls, not Catholic boys.
That's all right. Okay, hang on. We've got him back, so bear with us just 2 seconds. Hey, Matt, how are you, my friend?
Very, very well, thank you. How about yourself? How are you, folks?
Good, mate.
Good,
mate. Good. We were just talking about Catholics and how they play up, and just like you say, Beetlejuice a few times, and he shall appear.
One appears. Exactly right.
Yes. How is our favourite former priest?
Oh, having a ball. It'd be extremely long and tiring week, but that's it. But no, life is good.
Excellent.
And how about yourselves, folks?
Yeah, good.
It's 1,000 degrees, as you know.
Yeah.
But very good, very good. So Matt, I guess I was just about to get on to the next tip, but have you got any thoughts on tip one? Only leave if you can do so safely and if the cost isn't too high.
Oh, very much so. There's no. I have. I had to think about it for a while myself, and it's one of those things that personal safety and your own well-being mentally is first and foremost. And for me, it was about juggling the stress of leaving with the stress of staying. So very much so. Once you make a decision, you don't have to action it straight away, and it's always good to do it with being kind to yourself as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. I think some good advice. All right, so let's move on to tip number 2. And tip number 2 is one that I can certainly assure everyone I was very guilty of not following. Don't try and be an atheist apologist. Oh, didn't we? When we all... Okay, I'll ask the question because everyone here has left religion. Jay's not here, so we can do this one before he gets here, which is good. Is there anyone here who, when they left religion, didn't suddenly become an evangelist for atheists?
I kind of didn't.
I kind of didn't.
No.
No,
I was just too busy laying
an
low.
evangelist
Just
for
me
atheists,
that was the
an
arsehole.
evangelist against stupid thinkings and calling people assholes who are being assholes. But that's different. I mean, if you're going to make stupid claims, then they deserve to be debunked. But I didn't go out of my way to attack people who are religious because a lot of my family is still religious, and so
But
why?
did you find yourself when you had formally become an atheist, having a lot of people wanting to have conversations where I guess you were defending the faith, for lack of a better term? Or were you lucky? You were lucky, weren't you?
See, I mean, I came out of the Uniting Church, so so it's not quite the same as coming from an evangelical place. So I mean, whilst people didn't like the fact that I left the religion, it wasn't. It's not the end of the world to them. So,
to give people an idea on the Uniting.
But all I had to do was defend my position. I wasn't defending atheism. I was just defending my position.
So to give people an idea on the Uniting Church, for those who are in the on the funny side of the world, I remember sitting down with a Uniting Church priest and her saying to me that she hoped same-sex marriage got passed and the Uniting Church would be the first ones to perform those ceremonies. So that gives you an idea on they're a very open-minded, sort of progressive, liberal style of church.
The Uniting Church was one of the very few churches who would marry intersex and trans people as well.
And the irony is it's also the church that Fred Nile came from at one point. Go figure.
So how the hell did Fred end up where he was?
Oh, we don't know. I don't think it was always like that. Sorry, Oz, I think you were trying to jump in there.
Oh, you're good. I just now I come out of the hyper or what I want to call the radical side of the evangelical movement here in the States. So I grew up with the batshit crazy Kenneth Copeland's, Benny Hinn's, Rod Parsley's, so that's all the nonsense I grew up with. I'll say I kicked in a high gear right into the angry atheist stage. And when I first started trying to grow a voice or channel or whatever on YouTube, shortly before I'd met Pasta Mike and the rest of the Tart gang, my screen username was the Atheist Asshole. And that was my moniker. It was no, as soon she was just saying, as soon as you say something stupid, I'm going to attack it. I'm not going to defend atheism, but I'm going to attack the stupid shit you say, And so that was kind of my thing. It wasn't necessarily to evangelize, to try to get people to deconvert. It was just I'm just going to show you how batshit crazy you sound when you say this shit.
Yeah, see, I went not a completely different way, but what I found I was having, because a lot of people wanted to come to me, initially a lot of people came to me to, once again, try and bring me back into the fold. And similarly, I was in a fairly evangelical, happy clappy kind of movement. So, but I found myself having to, and I guess because I'd had these thoughts, and really I'd probably been an atheist for about a year when I left the church. So I'd just kind of been going through the motions and slowly not going to church as much. But then I found myself suddenly engaging in debates on a regular basis. And the thing is, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't, I certainly had a knowledge of the Bible and enough around, history and enough around that sort of sector. But emotionally and mentally, I was in no way ready for those discussions, because I was still trying to work out who the hell I was at that point. So I think it's an important, and look, I say that as someone who, one of the favourite things I've ever done is argue with Darth Dawkins. So you can become an atheist apologist. Just don't do it too early. Don't try and come and join the community. You don't have to defend the community straight away.
And again, my case is a little bit different. Nobody really tried to, engage in a debate with me about atheism or anything like that until I had ended up in prison for a homicide. And at that point, I would just give them the angry face and be like, there is no God. Keep arguing with me and it's going to get ugly. And they would just shut up and leave it alone. So I didn't really have to argue my points. I was in prison. Nobody wanted to deal with that. They just kind of left me alone and just kept telling me, oh, we'll pray for you. And I'm like, yeah, do what you want. I don't care.
In all of their defenses, I probably wouldn't have argued with you either, mate. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Matt? How did you find it? Did you find yourself having to defend the faith early on, defend the lack of faith early on, or in your journey?
Well, funny enough, coming from the Roman side of things, there was more. I wasn't so much put on the spot to defend my position. It was just, you've obviously left because some temptress devil woman has lured you away from the truth. But one-dimensional ideas are all fine and good. But it was only after some years that I sort of became loud about it, and I started with some of my friends. Some of my former colleagues who are still among the clergy. And once I started picking a few things up and really realising where I was, the ones who had tried to nail me down on my position, they were the ones that I happily sort of dived into. And yeah, probably was a bit of an arsehole at times. But thankfully, there are a couple of them that we still have a good friendship. And we go back and forth, and I haven't convinced them and they haven't convinced me, but we still have quite a lot of fun because I take great pleasure in pulling apart the classic Catholic answers to things that aren't really answers at all. So, yeah, it can be a bit of an arse, but have a lot of fun generally.
I'd love to see you talk to Darth Dawkins, actually.
That'd be good.
We need to set that up. I think that could be a lot of fun to see how we know exactly what he's going to say. I mean, we already know the script, I guess, but I'd be interested to see your take on that.
Well, I've decided that my ground of comprehensibility, the fundamental ground of all things, is my cat Harry. So, happy to talk with Darth. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, Hinduism worked for me. So, I mean, there's a lot of great religions around cats. So,
absolutely.
Fantastic. All right. So that's tip number 2. And I can see there's a lot of conversation going on in the chat, and I'm going to apologize because normally I have a Jay here who nudges me and goes, hey, there's a great comment here. So I do apologize, but make sure you tag me. Anything that any thoughts you have, just make sure you tag me. Until Jay gets here, then tag Jay after that. So that's probably the best bet. All right. Tip number 3. It's okay to feel hurt and be angry. And I think that's an important one. And I think it's something that people forget because you do get hurt.
I just realised I was muted.
Hang on. Sorry, I'm just going to mute Jen. That's all fun.
Love you too. It's okay to be angry and hurt about anything. I mean, there are lots of times in our lives when we'll be angry and hurt about things. And if you are leaving something, and in leaving something, you're leaving people behind that you might actually care about, because the people are different from the group that you're part of. So anytime we leave a group, regardless of whether it's religious or school or university, any of those groups, there are people you leave behind who you may never have contact with again. And it's okay to be hurt about leaving people behind, because those are attachments and they're important to us. And change is often a thing that makes us feel angry. I mean, that's part of that concept of denial. and it's a form of grief. When you grieve even when you're leaving religion, you grieve some of the things that were about it. So feeling hurt, angry is a normal reaction to that, because there are things that religion does do right. Fellowship is one of those things that religion often does a lot better than the atheist community.
Except on six-pack. Six-pack's pretty good fellowship. Just putting that out there. Really quickly,
What you put out there, Chris, you could get arrested.
Well, they haven't caught me yet. So now we have got a question coming from the chat, and I think this is a question directed at you, Matt. Sean would like to know, a question I've always wanted to ask a priest: how many communions do I need to do before I've eaten a whole Jesus? If you were to guess.
The official answer is really quite boring because from memory, it's been a while. The official answer is something along, it's entire and complete in any particle received, but that's nowhere near as fun as some of the answers that I could come up with. So I think you'll just know.
You'll know it.
One day you'll just go, you know what? I'm full of the Holy Spirit.
If you're receiving communion in a Catholic church, I mean, you have to be a member to receive communion anyway, except on special occasions. Isn't that correct?
It is,
yeah. Because I wasn't Catholic, but we used to do in the town I grew up in. We used to have extra communal services where all the churches in the town got together and put services on. And even if there was a Catholic priest, because the Catholics usually insisted they ran the communion, of course, because they didn't like taking other people's communion. So everybody was welcome to take it. So I have taken Catholic communion. Did you think it'd be a fair thing in that situation to ask for a specific part of Jesus' body when they hand you the wafer?
Well, it would be worth. Hey, be worth a try. See what reaction you get.
I just want to point out we're talking about someone who comes from a time where it wasn't the most sanitary of times. So I mean, you could really get the raw end of the deal there.
Literally raw.
And we've got some good news. A good friend of the channel, Jeff Godless Scummer, has said he's heard it's about 112,000. So that's a good number.
That's a lot of communion wafers.
Well, actually, the correct number is 42, of course. The correct number to everything.
It's always 42.
Well, I'm actually going with 144,000.
Oh,
very good. Little tip across to the old
JWs. Yeah.
Now, everyone, I don't want to get you all too excited, but I have got some big news. I've got some very big news for you all. Jay's here. The chat is whole again. Thank Zeus, thank Thor, thank Buddha, thank all of them.
Praise Jesus.
Praise Jesus.
Harry, my cat.
And Harry the cat, of course. Harry the cat. Jay, how are you on this fine American morning? He's muted. That's how he is.
He's muted.
He's muted.
He's still muted.
Yeah.
He broke it.
And he's looking confused. Oh, hang on.
How about now?
Yeah, there you are.
He's also looking like he just got back from lifting a television.
Yeah, no, I just got back. I just got out of work.
Yeah, that's what you call it. That's what you call it.
No, were you out peacefully protesting.
Yeah, no. No, the stupid Streamlabs changed my mic and my freaking camera. Like it set it to face rig. I don't even have face rig installed on the computer anymore. And then it had my mic set to a microphone that I don't have plugged into the computer at all. So you're like, what? So praise Jesus.
Blame the computer. Blame StreamYards. Yeah, no, we know who it was. We know who it was. Yep. So, mate,
what number are we on?
We're on number 3, so it's okay to feel hurt and be angry. So, what are your thoughts on that one, Jesus?
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with feeling hurt and angry, especially now. For those of you who don't know, because there are some names in the chat that I don't recognize, and I haven't talked to Oz yet. I've talked to Matt before. Unlike the rest of the panel here, I am probably the only religious one here. I am a Buddhist. So I see things from a different light. And I see a lot of people that do come out of the Abrahamic religions very angry. And it's okay to be angry. Just watch what you do with your anger. Because you can actually make it worse off for yourself than if you were, if you weren't angry. And by the way, I'm drinking Kraken and Sprite.
Oh, there we go. Hey, actually, you know what? I feel terrible. Matt, I didn't ask what you were drinking. He's muted.
Matt, you're muted.
You're muted, mate. You've done a J.
It's a wonderful power, this.
and then Chris said, let him speak. And he spoke.
And lo, it came to pass.
And there was much rejoicing.
Matt went off to get... Exactly. As there should be. Matt's off to grab... Matt not only speaks in the third person from time to time, but he's going to go and grab a pear cider.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Good choice of beverage. Very refreshing. All right. So on this one, is anyone else any thoughts?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. It's all you.
I was going to say it's okay to be hurt and angry, but don't be angry at people. Be angry at the belief and the lies that you believed, because there are still people who truly believe that, and it's a part of them, and it's not them trying to, force anything on you. For the most part, there are those that will try and force their religion and their ideas and ideologies on you. But most, theists, they're still stuck in that mindset, and it's not them that you need to be angry at, so kind of, take it easy on people.
I'll throw across to you, Oz.
Well, to go back to the original point, is it okay to be hurt and or angry? Yes, and I would actually encourage you to, and we'll get into the secular therapy here a little later. But I think you need to feel those, and you need to process through those feelings and those emotions, because they're real, and it's actually going to be more detrimental for you and your mental health and your emotional health if you don't process those and you don't deal with those in a healthy manner. So yes, by all means do that. And what Grumpy just said, I'm 50-50 on that, if I can be honest, because the one thing that and shout out to Pasta Mike, when him and I first started talking about my experience with coming out of church and the trauma and the abuse and things that I went through, there are some things that we can blame on the religion, but there are other things that the people do it under the guise of the religion. So we still have to hold the people accountable. Now, that does not mean we mistreat them or we're ugly or we're nasty, but they still need to be held accountable for their actions or words that, that they do that causes, the pain or the scars or the hurt, those sort of things. But to the root of it, yes, it's okay to feel that way, but find a healthy way to do it. Don't take it out on humans. That's the bottom line.
Some wise words all around. Actually, this is a very wise panel we've got tonight. I like the some different thoughts sort of going on, and certainly some good things, and some good things happening in the chat too.
Why is there so much testosterone on the panel again?
Because Jen, you're so womanly, we have to balance it out. That's why. I
appreciate having Ilya here last week, but it was unfortunate I couldn't be here for more of it.
Yeah, I know. It was, and it's sad because it's always entertaining when you're away at family, and there's always stuff happening in the background.
There is, but I can hang around.
Someone cutting up food. There's always something interesting going on. It's
we
can do a special on that.
Cutting in and saying something.
Yep, that's it. And always lots of laughter
because they're good at that.
Oh, Jen, you do a pretty good job of that yourself. Let's not kid ourselves.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair.
Oh dear.
I also don't
Okay.
get shits.
So let's move on to. Has anyone else got anything on number 3 there, or are we ready to go to number 4?
Go to
Ready.
4.
Go to
All right.
4.
Don't stay angry. Tip 4: don't stay angry.
Oh, but I like
Be
being
grumpy.
angry.
Be grumpy instead, because grumpy is good.
Don't
I
get
think,
angry, get even.
Yes, that's the one. Very, very wise words. Something I know that in my early atheist phase, I'd watch a lot of things, and I guess the classic is something like, the Atheist Experience, where, Matt will yell at a Christian and hang up, and I'd kind of be going, yeah, it's like atheist porn. You sort of go through that, phase where you sort of get right into that, hey, look at that person slamming Darth Dawkins, ha, 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 ha. But I think it's important that, and I think that's part of for me, it was part of dealing with the anger of what I'd gone through. But I also think it's important to not stay angry. I mean, like tip number 3 said, it's okay. It's okay to be hurt and angry, but you don't want to stay there. You don't want that to define you. You do want to be able to move along and I guess get on with life. All that's happened is there's one thing that's changed in your life, and hopefully everything else is the same. Who's next?
Yeah, staying in that phase, and again, it is healthy to get all that out, like to feel those things and let it be real. Let that reality set in. That it's okay to hurt, but if you live there and you make that your place of residence, you've now set yourself up for a miserable life, in my opinion, because it's always just going to be this angry, pissed off, and then all of a sudden, all the aspects of your life you see through that lens. You don't see through any other lens but that pissed off lens. And that's just not a way that personally I want to live life. I want to be able to enjoy the beauty around me, whether it's my wife, my kids, my friends, and not have to be pissed off at the world because this happened to me, so.
Being angry only hurts yourself in the long run. It hurts you more than it hurts the person you're angry at, because it is very self-destructive being angry at people all the time. That's why you need to step back. You need to take a few deep breaths. You need to go out, smell the fresh air, smell a flower. Take 5 seconds, walk the fucking dog. It's not worth staying angry at people. It really isn't.
Sean Alexander said in the chat, says the angry atheist is what so many Christians see, and it is true, because just like any other type of community or whatnot, the loud, outspoken ones are the ones that most people see. It happens with politicians, feminists. I mean, everything. You see it all the time. It's the really loud, the really cranky, really grumpy ones are the ones that everybody see, and then they latch onto that and think that's what the entire experience is. And that's
Grumpy's
not true.
okay.
That's
just don't forget, Grumpy is okay.
Yeah, except for Grumpy, yeah. But yeah, that's what people latch onto. That's what they see. I know quite a few Christians that I don't have an issue with. My sister's one. Ross Burns, a friend of my channel, he's one that I get along with really well. So it goes back and forth. Not all Christians are douchebags, and all atheists aren't douchebags. You gotta weed through the ones that are really loud and outspoken and find the ones that are sensible, normal people, I guess. Don't like, an atheist shouldn't think that every atheist shouldn't think every Christian is a Ken Ham or a Kenneth Copeland, because they're not. Just like every atheist isn't a grumpy old dude, or Christopher Hitchens, or Richard Dawkins. They're not. So it's like everybody's got to look at it.
I love that you put those three in the same category. I personally wouldn't have Hitchens and Dawkins up on the same high level as Ed.
As grumpy.
Okay.
Well, it's just the thing too, because I can even take that a step further. Every Buddhist is not a Shaolin monk. Every Buddhist is not, a Dalai Lama. I'm a Buddhist. I get angry quite often, but
so hang on, you're not a Shaolin monk?
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh, really?
I've seen. I see the Shaolin.
That's the whole reason I keep you around.
The Shaolin society is so it's a lot of dedication. It is lifetime of dedication, and it's, you've got to give up everything and go through. I just have too much going on. I can't do it. If I was single, and I didn't have a family, I could see myself going there. But I have my beautiful wife. I am Raven. I have my beautiful kids. I have my beautiful grandkids. So there's things that I can't take that step that I would have to take to become a Shaolin monk. So, but like I said, if I was,
I'm glad you're still here, personally.
Yeah, if I was single, didn't have kids and stuff, I could see myself in that type of role, because my belief is getting to that point. So
that's interesting. You've been on an interesting path since we first met.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really interesting watching, I guess, the evolution of your belief system. It's funny. I think we've almost gone in a parallel where we probably weren't too far away to start with, but you've gone one direction, I've gone the other direction.
Yeah,
and it's really interesting. Yet we still get on. There you go.
Yes, Andrew, I have grandkids. I believe my oldest is, Raven's going to correct me here, I think she just turned 14.
Whoa! Wow.
Yeah.
It's that good, clean, crisp American air, is it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, your hair will be crisp. Is the only reason you wear your beanie, Jay, so your ears don't break off?
No, it's my hair's a mess. I need a shower. I just got out of work. Yeah.
How about that?
I guess to jump onto something that was said in the chat, there is a perception out there that Christians think that all atheists are angry. So if you really want to piss a Christian off, be happy.
Yeah. That works for anything. I mean, if you take on anybody who's flat earthers, gender criticals, all these people, if you're debating anything with any of these people and you are nice to them, they get so angry themselves and so counterproductive on their own arguments that they go off the deep end generally.
Yeah. Except for Bobby Mack. Bobby Mack's our favorite.
But Bobby's not one of these aggressive people who goes on about things. Bobby is somebody who's prepared to think about things, even if he doesn't believe in the flat Earth. He's still prepared to think about things and discuss things. He's not an asshole.
Yeah, I had to correct somebody the other day. I got tagged into something, and of course, I was the grumpy old dude. And
not on Twitter.
Yeah, they brought that up. They're like, "Oh, see, just another angry atheist." I'm like, in case you haven't recognized the name, Grumpy. Like, there's nothing happy about me when it comes to any of this. And if you look at my profile, it says misanthrope. I hate you all.
Raven did say in the chat, the oldest is 14, the youngest is 5.
Well, there you go. You got it right.
Out of 7 grandkids. So,
holy moly!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Christmas is a bitch.
Yeah. No wonder you're a Buddhist.
Yeah.
All right. So, are there any other thoughts on tip number 4?
Just being angry does nothing for you. Being angry will just make your life worse. I don't want to try to preach Buddhism too much here, but in Buddhism, it is one of the things that you want to strive against is being angry, recognizing what makes you angry, fixing it, stuff like that. So being angry all the time is not good for your health. One, if you look at it medically, you'll go gray quick, Ed. Ulcers,
get some of that
stress, headache,
hair dye. Yeah.
Hey, listen, the gray and the loss of hair, it has nothing to do with anger. That's just life experience that
for
caused
you.
all that.
So that's not the grumpy part. That's the old part. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's the old part.
Yeah.
But being constantly angry will cause stress headaches, will give you ulcers. You'll alienate people. You'll alienate your families. So there's a lot of things that are negative with anger. Anger is a healthy emotion if you use it correctly. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is they can't use anger correctly.
And too much anger just drains the energy out of you.
Yep. And I'll say for those that, that are exiting, or escaping religion is what I like to say. I would encourage you, shout out to Anthony Magnabosco, go study street epistemology and get to know that way of asking questions, because if you can do that and learn that you can have a civil discourse with people, that you can ask questions and it not be in a threatening manner to them, they're not taking it personally, you're going to find that you have a lot more open, friendly dialogues rather than just going on the attack and trying to to prove somebody wrong all the time. And if you can kind of formulate that kind of dialogue, you're going to be much more effective, and you're not going to walk away pissed off every time. So if anybody that wants to have those conversations and it be meaningful, go check out Anthony.
And I think there's some. So I guess we'll, before we move on to the next one, there's some interesting things happening in the chat. So striving not to stay in anger, because anger is useful in certain situations and is harmful in most others. I think that's pretty wise. Now there was a real good one that I did see, and I can't find it now. But here we go. Thought grumpy old dude was something like 29.
Yeah. I responded to that comment.
He's actually 28, but he's had a tough life.
No. Yeah, I responded to that comment. You got to put that one up.
My daughter's 29.
and there's Jay bursting the bubble. So.
Dick.
Shut fucker.
29. Right. I've got things in the fridge older than that.
Yeah,
that's all right. I think me and Austin are I think we're the babies here, so I'm happy with that. All right. So tip number 5: find community within the secular community, but don't lose the community that you've come from.
That's hard.
So what do we think on that one?
I don't agree with that.
Community.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jen. You start.
Oh, I was just going to say that's assuming that you can keep your old community. I mean, like in Ed's case, you couldn't get out of that and keep the old community. That's just not possible. And same for somebody who came out of Scientology or Muslim, being a Muslim, would in no way be able to keep their original community. So I don't think that's always possible. But I think we're
practical. I think. Yeah, we're practical. I think so. Say if you're we'll use the example of someone who's a Muslim. Okay, so they've left Islam, but they're in a space where they can still engage with their culture, engage with who they are. It doesn't need to define. They don't lose everything. Yeah,
and there are definitely Muslims like that. Just as there are a lot of Christians like that. I mean, I'm one of them. So I know as a Christian you can leave and still have contact with the people who are part of the church you were part of before. But that is very dependent on exactly what form of religion that you came from originally. Mm-hmm. Having said that, I would go further and say not just find community within the secular community, try and find other communities too. Join a sports club. Go and play Dungeons and Dragons if that's the sort of thing you like, and make lots of communities, because if your community is only the secular community or only the people you came from before, you're not diversifying your community, and as such, you're not giving yourself a broad spectrum of what life has to offer. And I think all of us need that. It's one of the biggest problems a lot of Christian communities have. They don't have that broad spectrum.
Yeah, don't live in an echo chamber.
Yeah, and don't keep all your eggs in one basket, basically.
Yeah.
I
don't think Twitter's everything. Whatever you do.
I personally don't agree with the first part of that statement. Find community within the secular community. I don't agree with that, and the reason why is you should find a community that that you feel comfortable with. It doesn't have to be secular. You could have a community that's got multiple people from multiple different religions and still be an atheist and still be part of that community. and vice versa. You know, even if you look at those that are in religion, can join communities that are atheistic, because because the more you surround yourself with people with different varying points of view and differing varying points of knowledge, the better you can understand what's going on and the better you can understand yourself. So you don't have to find a secular community, but find some type of community that you feel comfortable in, that you feel comfortable being in. It doesn't have to be secular.
So I think I disagree with you there, because I do think it is important to find community and other people within the secular community. I think it is good to be able to reach out to, because when most people leave religion, it can be a traumatic thing. Even if you're leaving on, I guess, reasonably good terms, so to speak, losing your faith and losing a connection to something that was so much greater than yourself, it can have an effect. And I think it is important to surround yourself with people who have had similar experiences. If you find that you're no longer going to a church on a Sunday, maybe it's a good opportunity, yes, to definitely find other groups. And I guess in a way, sports groups, I guess they are secular.
Football.
Football is a religion. But I think it's important to keep yourself surrounded, but also not to forget the community that you've come from, which is kind of going to lead into tip number 6. So I'll leave that one there, but throw the ball to whoever wants it next.
Well, to tag back onto what you just said, there is a point where you're going to want to dip into that secular community if that's where you're coming from. If you're coming out of religion, going into atheism, or even going from religion to agnostic or religion to religion, you're going to want, yes, you will want to find a community that has like-minded people. But like I said, don't just be, all right, now I'm in the atheist community, I'm going to ignore every other community. Find the one that fits you best, whether it is a secular community or a multicultural community. I guess it probably would have been the best way to explain it to begin with.
I was going to say, Jay, if you ever decide that Buddhism isn't for you and you join the rest of us on the dark side, you're sorted. You don't even have to. You've got the community there and ready made for you.
Yeah.
Hell, we'll do a 6-pack special on the deconversion of gay. When should I book that in for? Should we book that in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, Jay?
About 30 years.
Well, we're about to come up to 1 year. So
hang on. How far in advance can we set up a YouTube stream?
You know what? Let's find out.
I was about to say we can find out.
Oh wow!
I say we find out. We find out. What are your thoughts, Oz?
This is an interesting one, because a lot of times when and I'm going to speak mainly on Christians here, because that's where I come from. When I talk to people that have walked away from that particular faith, and I ask them, what are 1 or 2 things, maybe even 3, that maybe you miss about church, religion, Christianity? Almost every time it's, well, I miss the community, I miss the family, I miss the camaraderie. So finding that community, I don't think that we can put enough emphasis on that. And that was even huge for me, because like I shared it, kind of the top of the show, I lost all my friends, like every, single one of them that I grew relationships with over years of doing that. And at the same time, I didn't share this part of it earlier, I was also going through a disgusting divorce. So I was losing this relationship with this God, all my friendships, my marriage, and now going to seeing my kids, only, 2 days every 2 weeks. I felt like everything got ripped away from me. So it was critical that I found some type of community to make sure that, like, okay, I'm not going crazy, I'm making the right decision, and I'm going through this process, and I'm asking all the right questions, excuse me, and having those people that on the tough days or tough nights, that I have a friend that I can call and say, am I thinking all right? Am I nuts? And just having that support system, be able to do that, because like I said, I'm not the only one. There's tons and tons of people just like me that went as soon as they left, all the relationships were gone. And then to the other point, as far as trying to stay in touch with the community that you're walking away from or leaving, that's when I'll say if you can actually do that, good on you. There's no way that there's no way I could stay active in that community because it had become toxic for me, and where I was at, because anytime that I would have a question, they're going to reroute me back to a God or pray or faith, and that just would have crippled me, in my process of trying to find more true things, than not. So that one, that part of for me is tough. If you can actually do that and it be healthy, like I said, good on you.
Excellent. And we've got a confirmation in the chat. Atheist Chico can confirm that Oz is in fact nuts.
Yes.
That's good to know. Good to know. Okay, so the answer to a very, very critical and important question.
42.
Actually,
we already went there.
No, it's 42.
Yeah.
The answer is always 42. Or
You're a bit
purple.
Oh, purple, yeah, or green.
The color purple. Yeah.
So, how far in advance can we book a YouTube video? 1 year. So I've scheduled it. In 1 year, I have scheduled the deconversion of Jay. Nice graphics. We'll promote it for the next 12 months. It'll be a big event. Should be monetized by then, I reckon. So it'll be huge.
All the super chats and donations all go to me.
Fair enough.
All right. So we've got to get to super
long
chat
as you
and
show up.
donation first.
Yeah, as long as I show up.
And there has been some people wanting to know another important question. Matt, what are you
What are
eating?
you eating? Tin spaghetti.
Sorry, folks. It's a quickly thrown together ravioli and sauce combo.
Oh, I was close.
Rather, pretty close. Yep, not bad. I'd only got home from work. I'd taken a week off, so of course, when you take a week off, you've got to get everything right for that week off. So I stayed back in the office and potted away, and I only got home about a bit after 9. So just grabbed something, chucked it all together, and it's going down very nicely.
Excellent. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. So has anyone got anything for tip 5, or can we go to tip 6?
Now go to 6.
Yeah, go to 6.
All right, 6. When this follows on, don't forget who you are as you're trying to fit into a new community. Now, I think what can happen is, especially if you are introduced to the atheist community via Twitter,
God.
I know. I think that says it all.
Yeah, we can move on to the next one.
Look, the key is to be yourself. The community, if they're going to like you, they're going to like you. If people don't like you, they're not going to like you. That's all community. That's life in general. But I think it's really important. Don't jump onto the bandwagon of everything else, because that tends to, I think, and I've spoken about this a few times, atheist activism tends to get masked with every other kind of activism as well. And I think it can be I know when I first got into the atheist community, because my political views are a bit more conservative, they're right-leaning, I felt very alone. I'm like, is this, I'm just not going to fit in here. Yeah. And within the churches, the churches will tell you that it's just atheism, it's all just this far left propaganda. So it was a little bit lonely for me until I realized that I was being an idiot, and no, I'm not the only one, and there's plenty of other people. And when I was, instead of, I guess, trying to play nice and bite the insides of my cheek when people were talking, I just became myself. Some people liked it, some people didn't. So the good people I kept around, the bad people got blocked. It was easy.
And Chris, I love that you said that, because yes, if you already know who you are and you're going into a community, be true to yourself, and be you, be authentic. But I share that same sentiment where I came in this community. I didn't know who I was. I spent most of my life being this really, really, or the best Christian I could be, and living in this fishbowl where everybody listened to what I said and what I did. And I had to make all the right moves and say all the right things. So when I came into this community, I'm like, oh, hey guys, I can say that. I can say it on YouTube. Like I could say it live, so all of a sudden there's this, oh, this is Austin. This is Oz. I like this guy. I like that. I don't like that other guy, because that other guy wasn't authentic. He wasn't real. And now finding that's really what tipped the pot, so to speak, for me, where it was like, okay, now I find a place that I really actually fit and belong, because I can be myself. And nobody's saying, oh, you can't do that. You can't say that. You're going to go to hell. So for some people it's the other way around. It's actually finding yourself for the first time. So.
Yeah, see, I can appreciate that as well, because I mean, there was a lot of things that I guess I had to live the church lifestyle. Thoughts and things that I had, I couldn't voice because it went against what the Bible taught, and I had to act a certain way when I was out in public, because if anyone from the church saw me doing the wrong thing, it's when you're in leadership, that's 10 times worse. So I will say, actually, a similar experience for me in finding myself. But I think it's also important to stay, once you've found yourself, to be yourself.
Yeah. I got a couple things before we get to Grumpy. There's a couple things in the chat. I'm not sure who this is, because like I said, I've never seen him before, but Atheist Chico really loves you, Oz. Says, just want to say you're loved and you mean a lot to a bunch of people. You wanted a community and you made one with Tart and LTR. It's needed and appreciated.
Amen.
Andrew, I was gonna, before you had started out, Andrew pretty much said the same thing. Sometimes you have to find out who you are first.
Yeah.
So, and then the one and only Godless Scummer says Twitter is a fucking cesspool.
Preach it.
And a big shout out to Donna. Hope you feel better, Donna. Just like Jen said, get some rest.
Yeah.
Feel better.
Hang in there.
But what, the cure
is one of our
great
great people. As a nurse who's worked purely with COVID patients for the last nearly 12 months, she is the closest thing there really is to an angel, and she is amazing. And I'm so glad that she's getting through this all right. She did not deserve to catch it, but she put her life on the line to help people. And I can think of very few other people in the community that I admire as much as her over this at the moment.
Absolutely.
And did I hear correctly? I might have heard this earlier, but Chris, did you say you're having problems with the chat because I wasn't here?
No, I didn't say
that.
Yeah,
he did say that.
You lied because I was listening.
Atheists just can't be honest.
No,
another dishonest atheist.
Grumpy, you were going to say something, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, like in my case, I left the religion of creativity in 2004. It took me another 8 years to actually find who I am, today. Even though I left the religious side of it, I still had a lot of racist ideas and things that I believed in. And it took me a while to, completely let go of all that and figure out who I am and, what I want to do with myself. So, sometimes like Oz and everybody else said, it's not trying to, not trying to keep who you are. It's trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah, and you'd figure after 8 years you learn how to grow a proper mustache.
Oh,
kiss my ass, fucker.
I am not going to say a thing about that.
Dirt spot on your lip.
Whatever. No, I still got your crooked shelf up there.
I know. I seen that. I appreciate that.
I'd like to add to that I don't think we should ever stop exploring who we are. because our ideas and the things we get, the people we interact with help to inform the person that we become throughout our entire lives. I mean, there are so many things I've learned from the various people I've interacted with on YouTube and even on Twitter, even though it is, you're right, it's a cesspool. That there is still that aspect of learning from people, even people you disagree with. They're back to not putting yourself in a fucking echo chamber. Listen to people. Try and learn and grow, because if you stop growing, then what's the point? If you can't learn more and grow more all the time, then you might as well just lie down under a tree and just fade out of existence, because growing and learning is just so important.
Yeah, I so agree with that, and always trying to, what I always like to ask myself, and I tell my kids this all the time: are you a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday? Did you challenge yourself in some way to get better? It's funny sometimes if I go back to my hometown and I run into old friends of mine. My reputation, growing up was the partier, big hip hop head, and all I want to do is smoke and drink and party and freestyle and hang out and do all that. And now they laugh at me because I've turned into this geek. But I love this geek that I've turned into. I'm always seeking information. I'm always seeking knowledge, and I'm wanting to know. And I'm always reading and studying and all that. So the more you do that, it's like you find these other new parts of yourself where it's like, holy shit, I didn't even know I enjoyed that. I didn't know I was going to like that. And that's kind of how I got to where I'm at, is it turned into a freaking nerd.
And the nerds shall rule the world. I mean, yeah. So Matt, what are your thoughts on this one? We'll throw across to you.
You've got to be true to yourself. And it's that part of that being authentic in yourself and accepting where you've come from and all. And sorry, I'm just sort of moving the phone around trying to get a better thing because it tells me it's overheating. Well, that's right, I'll go that way. So, yeah, for me, it's because it's such a learning experience, and because it's such a fundamental change to realise your new status, it can be easy to let yourself, I don't know, possibly sort of take on a bit of a new persona, but that doesn't really work. You work out after a while that that's not sort of doing it for you. So I think for me it was, there have been times where I've had to stop and just say, no, just don't be the whole picture. Just be yourself with new views and see how that works for you.
Very, very good advice. So I think, are we ready to move on to tip number 7?
Yeah.
Now this is
hang
probably
on. Before we pump into 7, I got a couple things I need to say here real quick.
Phrasing.
Let me finish typing that. Okay, so Never Again mentioned something up in the chat a little bit while here. It said, now if I could only break my habit of saying "Oh dear God" all the time. And then he goes down. He goes, I know I'm going to hell. I had my fingers crossed behind my back the last time I joined a church to fulfill my mother's dying wish. I think I'm enjoying hell. But then goes on further though and says, after all, which is more important as she lays there in the ICU, seeing her breathe easier because she thought I was saved again, or just arguing with a dying woman? Sometimes you have to do something that may make you feel uncomfortable to make others in that situation. Not every situation. There are some situations that you're going to want to do something that is completely against your nature to make them feel better on their way out. So on that situation, I agree 100%. If my mother was a Christian, which she's not, but if she was, and she wanted to see me saved before she passed away, I would go through the motions just to make her feel better, because at that time of death, there's a lot that goes through people's emotions and through their heads and stuff, and to make them comfort them, to make them feel better, there's nothing. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. Completely agree. There is nothing wrong with that.
I mean, down to the thing is, I will take my mum to church sometimes, and I've done things like that for my oldest daughter as well, because she's still a Christian and she likes to go to church. So if she's ever staying with me, because she doesn't live with me all the time, well, she doesn't live with me at all. She's when she does visit. So, but when she stays with me, I will take her to church because it's her thing. Why should I stop her doing the thing that is important to her when it doesn't hurt me?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
that's the thing.
So for number 7, sorry.
Yeah, well, basically, we don't need to be an asshole to people who aren't being an asshole about religion.
Yeah.
If the religious person is being an ass, we all know who they are. The Ray Comforts of the world, who deliberately want to misrepresent things all the time, or the people like Kenneth Copeland, who basically looks more like Satan than Satan does.
I'm convinced he's a parody. Surely he's a parody.
Yeah, he looks like.
I reckon blow the COVID away.
But these people are dangerous as well.
He's just sitting there going, "How far can I take this before people go, okay, it's clearly bullshit." That's. I reckon that's what he's doing. I think he's just saying, he just keeps pushing it and pushing. He's like, "Holy shit, they gave me a plane."
Yeah.
All right, but okay. So let's moving on. Now, this is probably. I know I said one of the other ones before was the most important. This is actually the most important one, and I actually want to throw this one across to Oz because it was his suggestion, and we've had some pretty good conversations around mental health and looking after yourself. And I guess I'll pass it across to someone who I think has probably got a bit more expertise in this than I do.
Expert, no. Lots of experience, absolutely. And I'll try to keep it brief because it can be a very lengthy conversation to have regarding this. But a lot of people, when they're coming out of religion, especially one that holds a lot of the dogma, and there's indoctrination in regards to mental health or emotional health, where you're trained that if you have any type of mental health diagnosis, that it's not an actual health issue, it's a faith issue, or it's a prayer issue, or it's just a God issue. Your relationship with your God has been compromised, and your faith isn't strong enough. You're not praying enough. You're not praying hard enough. If you come from a church that speaks in tongues, you haven't been filled with the Holy Spirit. So you're led to believe that all of these things are going to be your medicine. All of these things are going to be your help. When in reality, that's like going to your pastor and saying, "Well, I have diabetes," and he says, "Oh, well, cool. Don't worry about insulin. Just pray harder. Just have more faith." That's asinine. That's completely irresponsible, reckless, and it's dangerous. So if you are in a church, or you're leaving a church where you have people telling you that, and you've talked to doctors and professionals in the past, and they've said, we think that there might be this diagnosis, or you have these things going on. Listen to the professionals. And this is the one time that I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what the fucking pastor says when it comes to your mental health. It matters what the professionals say. So it's okay to say you're not okay. And it's okay to ask for help. And if you need people to go with you, if you have somebody that you trust, have them go with you. When I started my my path and my journey to really getting healthy mentally and emotionally, my now wife, we got married in September. I asked her to go to every single appointment with me because I needed that support. I needed that help there with me. And so I could remember, because my ADHD brain forgot everything. But I wanted that support system there. So just know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help. And if you go to, and I'm going to shamelessly plug our website, but it's for mental health purposes. We have, if you go to tart.live.
I was hoping you'd do that.
If you go to tart.live, there's a section on our website, and it has two options on there. It's titled Tart. Tart helps, and there's a button you can hit just to text someone. Now, just know that there's the people you talk to there are not professionals. They're there 100% to just allow you to talk. If you need to vent, bullshit, whatever it is, that you can do that. It's anonymous. You don't have to worry about, people knowing who you are. So there's that. Then if you actually you want to seek professional help from a secular therapist that's, not going to tell you to go home and pray and seek the Holy Spirit and do all that. We've built a relationship with a secular therapist that will meet with you remotely, whether it's FaceTime, Skype, whatever it is, and do it at a great rate. So even if you don't have insurance, it's still very affordable. We have that there, but it's crucial that you are, you feel that you can ask for help and it'd be okay to do so.
And there's been some good points in the chat. Donna pointing out that her pastor was also a counselor. And part of when I was studying to be a pastor, part of what they put me through was training to counsel people and to help people with things. I can tell you, I am in no way qualified to help people. I can be a great listener. I can give advice. I am not a mental health professional, and neither is any pastor out there who hasn't actually completed the relevant qualifications in a non-religious academic setting. Because Christian counseling is not counseling. That's just let's pray. Let's give it to God. It's all placebo effects. So, Ilya, hey, flick me a message, and we'll chat. So I'm glad that we did get the plugin for Tart.live, because that was actually something that was set up, and there is options there. So that the Tart helps with a link to the secular therapist. There is options out there. So it's not always someone that you can see face to face, I guess, depending where you live. But I guess in the world of COVID, there aren't many face to face appointments that happen anymore anyway. So it's there's other alternatives. So it's make sure you do look after yourself.
Absolutely.
Who else has got something on this one?
No, I pretty much said what was said. I mean,
I think we pretty much.
There's absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with asking help in any situation. It doesn't even have to be leaving religion. Any situation, there's absolutely nothing wrong with asking.
Worst
for
thing
help.
you can do is hold everything into yourself, whether you go to a friend or a family member or a counselor or whoever else. If you're religious, even if you go to your priest or whatever, always ask for help. Don't think you have to do everything on your own, because no one is an island. So.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Hallelujah.
Ramen.
Praise Jesus.
Jamin.
Be kind to yourself.
Yep.
Give yourself the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
No one knows everything, regardless of what Twitter will tell you.
Except for God. The God knows all.
Nah, he don't know shit.
Everything.
Don't ask him.
He knows everything.
No.
Don't ask Ed shit. He don't know nothing.
See, he's
from Jersey.
I've got this thought that.
I've
thought that one day I'm gonna die, and I'll be there, and I'll discover there's an afterlife, and I'll say, so which religion was right? And they'll say, well, the good news is it was Ed, God. It was him all along.
I thought Jay said, don't ask Ed's shit, which gave me a vision of somebody with one of those scrying bowls filled with Ed's poo, like reading it like tea leaves.
He flings it at people as they pass by.
Yeah, like a monkey.
Yeah.
Chris, I did want to highlight one thing when you were on with Dr. Josh and my brother, and then Pastor Rob on our show a month and a half ago. I'm terrible with terrible time frames, but when you're on there, the one thing that stuck out to me listening to you guys continue to talk about it is at one point I had asked the four of you, the panel, if any of you felt like that you were guys, when you were in the ministry or training to be in the ministry, if you ever felt like you were equipped to actually help somebody with mental health diagnosis or issues and things like that. And even the two still current acting pastors that still do that, all four of you said absolutely not. So that's why I always say when it comes to that, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, it doesn't fucking matter what your pastor says about your mental health. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it doesn't matter because he's not, or he or she is not qualified to speak to that. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, that I was clear on that. And I thought it was very ironic that all four, you know, like I said, two current all raised their hands, said, no, I wasn't qualified. And then in the comments, I don't know, Ilya Hamoon, full transparency. Oh, sorry. Been super depressed. I feel like I'd be better dead at this point. And it goes on. Just know that I know Chris's inbox is open for yourself and anybody. My inboxes are always open if somebody just needs to talk. Again, not professional, but always here to listen.
Yeah, especially with Ilya. Ilya is a good friend of the channel, and a lot of love for Ilya. A lot of love for Ilya. Probably the nicest person I've met in the community. Sorry, everyone else, but Ilya is probably the nicest person I've met. She's
anyone who says a bad word against Ilya is an absolute
cancelled. Cancelled. That's the one time cancel culture is okay. You're nasty to Ilya, you get cancelled. So, and I'll go full social justice warrior on you. So, I've watched lots of videos on how they do it. So it would be, I'd learn. All right. So, tip number 8, another important one. Well, they're all important, I think. Mm-hmm. Create healthy boundaries for friends and family.
Yeah.
Now, this is an important one. I think it comes back to when you are leaving religion, and people want to try and bring you back and try and drag you back and debate it with you, and it sort of can become in some cases the entire focus of your conversation and relationship with people can be religious discussions and arguments. And I think it is important to definitely set some boundaries in place and say, hey, if I'm coming over for a family dinner, I don't want to talk about religion. Can we just leave it? And to have that set up rather than just sort of sitting there uncomfortably. Now, if they choose to not respect that, well, then you've got to make decisions. And same with friends. I had to set some boundaries with some friends and say, hey, I just want to go to the footy with you. I don't want to talk about God. Can we just hang out? Can we just go and have a meal together? And when I was in the church, we weren't talking about God. We were just enjoying each other's company and being friends. So I think you've got to be able to set those boundaries. Now, there's some people that, I guess I've got a friend or two that I do enjoy discussing religion with. But on the whole, I think you do need to set those boundaries.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. And again, I know each person's case and story is going to be different. So I don't think it's always going to be case by case. But for me, not because there was the religious trauma and really just some of the nasty and disgusting things that I saw and witnessed, and especially with my family also being involved in it. But there's also growing up in our home, physical abuse, things like that. So I walked away from a lot of just a lot of shit, right? And once I walked away, I realized that I had to set these boundaries because, like, I had one family member that told me, because now I'm an atheist, that I'm a terrible man, terrible father, terrible husband. You go on down the list, and I had to tell that person, you know what? If this is what this is going to boil down to, when we talk, is you're just going to attack me and try to assassinate, my character and who I am as a man, as a person, we don't talk anymore. And until you can have a civil, grown-up conversation with me, and it not turn into this onslaught, then I have no desire to talk to you, to have a relationship with you. Once you decide that you want to apologize for the things you've said, take ownership, and we can move past it and be adults, then cool, we can talk again. I have no problem doing it. And I've had to do that with several people, and it's okay to do that. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know. I don't like confrontation. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Well, they don't give a shit about your feelings. Like, do you hear what they just said to you? So you have to learn that it's okay to draw the line in the sand and say, no, I deserve better than to be treated or to talk to or about in that form or fashion.
Cool. Something really quickly I'm going to say, Tangelo, I can see you're in the chat there. Mate, this isn't the stream for that. If you want to set up something, you and I can have a one-on-one conversation. I know the perfect moderator who is neither an atheist nor a Christian. If you want to have that conversation, mate, I am more than happy to have that conversation with you. But this isn't it. I mean, if you're trying to push and promote Christianity, coming into this stream and doing that kind of stuff, you're just going to prove every single point that we've made earlier about how people are treated when they leave religion. So if you want to prove us wrong, show a bit of that Christian love and compassion right here in the stream, and you and I can have that conversation. I'm more than happy to set that conversation up one-on-one, you and I, at another time. So don't be like Darth Dawkins and keep going on. We'll do it another time. That's me creating a healthy boundary.
And I'll just quickly say, Atangelo, with all due respect, trees are actually proof of the inestimable power of Harry, my cat.
Damn it, Harry.
That Harry, I tell you what, Harry is pretty impressive. So,
in Atangelo, I have sent Chris your email in case he didn't catch it. So
we'll set up another time.
We can set something up.
I mean, Darth had come in and at one point and similar thing. The only thing is he didn't respect the boundaries and kept carrying on, but we ended up having the conversation nonetheless. So I'll have the conversation with you. No problems. Let's set it up.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on from all that. What else do we think about creating healthy boundaries? What are some tips, I guess? What are some practical methods of doing that? Matt, you look like you want to say something.
For me, I had to have pretty healthy boundaries as a priest, because you're pretty much on call all the time. So you had to be able to just say, okay, time out. So I think for me, the physical boundary was very important. If I was in certain places, I wouldn't engage with people. Like if I was at home or whatever, if I didn't really want to engage, I'd just go up to the back of the place and just be myself. But it's hard to initially to do it without coming across as sort of being rude or whatever. But once people start to realise that there is a time and a place and you're not always available, then it sort of flows from there, I think.
Definitely. What about you, Jen?
What about me?
What about me?
I don't know that I ever create healthy boundaries with family and friends. So.
I don't know. You seem to have a pretty good. Well, let's use your daughter as an example, because you'll take her to church still.
I do. I do. I mean, I
have boundaries in place there.
I mean, it's probably been easier for me because of the religious background I came from, because uniting church from a more progressive church and then going from that to being an atheist was easier, because walking back into those environments as an atheist isn't a problem. It's not like people are jumping down my throat because I don't believe. They're just great that I'm being respectful enough to take my daughter to church or take my mum to church if I take mum to church. So it's and in that sense, the United Church has a lot of mutual respect to other people that some other churches don't have. So for me, I think the church itself, because of the type of church it is, has some healthy boundaries, which makes it easier for me to have those healthy boundaries as well. So, but yeah, I know what you mean. I've encountered people of deeper religions who don't have healthy boundaries. For example, Jehovah's Witnesses on the street who decide to be pushy. Who I
haven't seen a Jehovah in a long time.
Oh, I gave up respecting them after one of them stood in front of me, wouldn't let me pass, and I told them right straight off just to fuck off.
No, I said, you wouldn't do that.
There's no way you're one of the 144,000, so why don't you just fuck off now?
Yeah. Now, this might sound kind of self-centered, but healthy boundaries are for you. It's not about making them feel okay. It's about keeping yourself okay. So even if you got to step on some toes and hurt some feelings, if that's going to keep your mental health stable and keep you in a better place, then that's just how it has to be.
Well said, Grumpy.
So we've got a question in the chat for Jen, and just as I clicked on it, a few more popped up. So when you take your mother or daughter to church, do you drop them off or do you attend with them?
No, I attend. I did the right thing.
I was going to say, I think
that's the
there's a
right
lesson
thing
to
to
be.
do. So,
We keep doing it, don't we? That's my
yeah,
bad.
we do. Sorry.
That's all right. That's
Go.
okay.
I'm done. I said it.
I was going to say, I think there's actually a lesson there for anyone who's religious, similar to what I was just saying to Angelo then. Now, the church that you're taking your daughter to, you're comfortable to go to.
Yeah.
Because they treat you with respect and they respect your boundaries. So there's a lesson for the churches. I mean, how many churches can say that they have atheists who happily attend?
I mean, a quick story. When she was first visiting, because my oldest daughter lives in Albany, and at the moment I live in Perth, although I am moving. So when she's come up and visit, there was a while before I found a church that was in this area that she was comfortable to go to. Even though she's part of the Uniting Church, but there isn't a Uniting Church in this suburb, so it was a case of finding something else that she was comfortable with. So the church I found that she was comfortable with when she was visiting. Quite funny when they found out I was an atheist. The minister came up and just talked to me normally, and then said, "Gonna have to try and convert you back now," and did it completely as a joke, not serious. Never ever brought it up again, just completely as a joke. And I was fine with that. I mean, why shouldn't they be able to have a joke? So you don't always take it that they're actually trying to convert you back if you do walk into a religious environment, because sometimes they're not being serious. Sometimes they'll just treat it as a joke, because they know if you actually know what you're talking about, and if they've talked to you legitimately, they're probably not going to convert you anyway. So, but if they can be lighthearted and joke about it in a friendly manner, what does it hurt?
See, the only one I'm wary of is that Jay, because I reckon he's secretly here to try and convert us all to Buddhism.
Yeah,
but that's okay. We know when there's going to be the deconversion of Jay.
Because here's the thing: Buddhists don't try to convert people.
Oh,
and a lot of Buddhists are atheists too, so you could become a Buddhist and still be an atheist.
Yeah, secular Buddhist, yeah, absolutely.
They're a secular Buddhist, so.
All right, so moving on, number 9, we're almost there. 2 to go.
Oh, wow.
Be careful not to deify atheist leaders or personalities. I'm going to let someone else. I'm going to let someone else take this one because everyone knows my thoughts on this.
Okay, I hate this. I actually made a comment about this the other day with a certain Richard Dawkins, who was retweeting something about trans people that he absolutely had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. And there were people in the comments go, "Oh yeah, if Richard says this here." No, Richard knows nothing about what the fuck he's talking about here. He might be a good biologist, and that is it. A lot of his atheist arguments are quite dreadful, really. And just because somebody's good in a particular field and is vocal about that and maybe can supply some really good arguments in this, doesn't mean he's good with everything. Don't hold people up on a pedestal because they're not. People can be good in their fields and absolutely crap at other things. I'm pretty good when it comes to science, but you throw history at me, or not so much, but sports. Yeah, I am fucking useless. Unless you want to talk netball, I am fucking useless at sports, and history is not my forte at all. So, there's
just don't get her on warp coils.
Don't what?
Yeah,
don't get her going on warp coils.
Warp coils. That was a funny discussion.
So I guess with this and something I see, and it's funny because I've had a few conversations with people where what will happen is an atheist leader or personality or someone will say something, so people just blindly follow that and agree with it. And this isn't a criticism of those atheist leaders or personalities, because I mean they formulated their own opinion. They may be right, but if you're just regurgitating something, it's basically what you're doing at a church.
Let's look at the biggest example for this year. Rocks are atheists.
Yeah.
Did
you have to bring that one up? No. All the ones you had to bring up that one.
No, but even if you are ignorant enough in your knowledge of things to think that is true, why would you even say it? When
do you know how many
that
people
it's not going to be agreed by?
Agree?
Yeah.
I was going to say, how many people through gritted teeth had to agree with Steve McRae? There was a lot of uncomfortable, which I thought was funny because I like Steve. Steve's
a lot of people call that out and call people out when they say it. Rocks are not atheists. You have to be able to make a sentient decision to be an atheist or to be a theist. Rocks are just fucking rocks.
But the amount of people who, once again, blindly followed because it was said by one of the prophets of atheism, and well, I get on with Aaron. He's a good guy, so this isn't a criticism of him.
No, this is not a criticism of Aaron. It's the people who jumped on it.
The people who, the people who act in the way of, well, no, he said it, and then they, rather than formulating their own opinion, what they're doing is they're almost word for word regurgitating what he said, like cut and paste the argument.
And it's not even that. When somebody presents, a counterpoint and has actual evidence to disprove what one of these leaders or personality says, people don't care. They're like, oh, whatever, you're wrong because this person knows more.
And that's and that's the whole that's deifying the person, and that's you can't do that. The facts stand by themselves, regardless of the person saying that.
And I will say
the only exception being Ed. If Ed says it, God is always right.
Go ahead.
If there's anything that helps that has helped me in this regard, and not really getting tripped up in this discussion, is coming out of the extreme evangelical movement, where all of these characters, and I use that word very accurately, characters are deified. Like, they are a god or next to God. Coming out of that, I now have no problem saying, no, I appreciate your points here. Like, you make a good argument here, but over here, you're terrible. Like, you suck. I'm not, I don't see, I've not had to struggle with that because leaving religion, one of the things that I made up my mind on is I will never put another man up on this perch or this pedestal that I think he is this much better than everybody else, and his ways are higher than ours. I will never do that again. So I can listen to Dawkins, or I can, and Hitch. Hitch is probably my favorite, but I can listen to some of Hitch's arguments sometimes and be like, I don't really like that point. I don't really like that point. And it's okay, guys. We're allowed to do that.
You don't have to agree with everybody.
Right.
You don't have to blindly follow. It's not like a church where you have to agree with the pastor. So it's okay.
To multiple people, read the document yourself, and come to informed decisions about your opinion on things. Don't just follow blindly anyone, and that goes for anyone in the community. If you're a wokey type left person in certain things, and I'm saying wokey type not as in the woke, but as in you're a bit don't just think that everything somebody on the left says is something that you have to follow blindly, because some people say the dumbest fucking things,
especially on the left,
or central or more right. You have both people who are central and right within the atheist community. Don't think that what they say is fucking gospel, because we don't have fucking gospels. Okay?
No.
Go and find out for yourself. Go and educate yourself. Go and talk to the people who actually know what it is about. Ask for references to what they're talking about and educate yourself, because that's how you got out of religion in the first place, by educating. Right. Don't stop educating yourself just because you're out of religion.
Yep. And if you subscribe just because it comes from a particular person, I'm really going to question you. Are you truly a skeptic? Are you a skeptic if you just buy it because one person says it? Because that now I think you've lost that credential if you just take it as gospel because it comes from this person's mouth.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's okay to, and I think what we've all got to understand is it's okay to disagree, and it's okay to go into a conversation and to finish a conversation holding a different opinion. I mean, I have plenty of conversations where I'll disagree with people on things. No one changes anyone's mind. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. We could both be wrong. We could both be right, depending on what it is. But there's nothing wrong with that. Not everything has to be a debate that's won because such and such said so. Scummer puts up an interesting point. There's one creator who I won't name who was really going off about how stupid that argument, being the rock argument, was until he found out it was Aaron and not Steve who said it. So a great example of someone just following for the sake of following and then finding out, oh, hang on, no, I don't hold that opinion anymore. So, which can happen. So,
I got a couple of things here. First, if your atheist leader or personality just wants to, disagree with somebody and then block them because of that disagreement, instead of engaging in a conversation to see if they can come to an agreement, well, that should make you question that leader or personality. If they can't have a conversation, then what's the point of believing everything they say? And our buddy Nakasuchi, the Rage, had a very good question. If God doesn't believe in any other gods, does that make me an atheist leader?
I don't think he was talking about you, but
I don't think he was talking about you.
Yeah, he didn't use the other.
I said he was talking about me. So
sorry. Yep. Anyone argues with Ed, then they're wrong. That is the latest question that's going around, though. I've seen that on Facebook a bit lately. I'm sort of scratching my head, going, "Really? Is this a thing?" If God doesn't believe in other gods, does that make God an atheist leader? No, because he'd know who he was. I mean, God is a God, so he'd believe in himself.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jen.
If you have a deistic God that only believes in it being a deistic God, then and doesn't believe in any of the other gods, then that's not a problem.
I mean, if God didn't know he was God, I mean, if it turned out that, Ed was really, he was jokes about being the GOD, but he was the GOD, but he didn't realize it, then I guess.
It changes the entire song about what if God was one of us.
But he is the realest GOD I've ever known.
Absolutely. Well, if God had a name, what would it be? It would be Ed. and just to clarify, GOD was right. Nakasuchi was definitely talking about Ed. So now that we're clear on that, we're all good. We're all good. And Ed, you've had some experiences with the cult of atheist leaders, haven't you?
Oh man, have I? Yeah, and I find it amazing that they all say, that I have no intelligence, I'm not very articulate, and this, that, and the other thing. But none of them will debate me on a live stream.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No. And look, I'll say this: there's some really good atheist leaders and personalities in the community. There's some mega douchebags as well, like some people who are just so full of themselves it's not funny, Mr. Atheist. But anyway, that's my opinion, not anyone else's. Well, maybe it is, I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Anyone else got anything on that? Matt, what do you think? I guess because you're not as well, you don't normally stream. I mean, you've been on a few of these, but it's what do you think? I guess from the outside looking in, because we're engaging and interacting with these people on a regular basis.
It's really quite interesting for me because often on my way to and from work, I'll just fire up YouTube and there's the sort of suggested things that come up. So I'm usually about 3 or 4 days behind in a lot of the streams and shows that come out. So I picked up the Rocks Are Atheist thing the other day and was thoroughly befuddled. I had no idea where it had come from or what it was all about. But I heard different people coming, responding to it, and it just sort of did bewilder me a little. But for me, some of the atheist leaders have been really helpful for me in helping me give form and give words to the sort of thoughts in my head about different things. And there are some things that I've picked up that I've really liked, little catchphrases like, maybe not, things like, if you have to argue your God into existence, then that says a lot about the existence of your God. Little things like that sort of made me think, you can come up with a philosophical argument, but, that doesn't prove anything other than you can put together a nice little, syllogism or whatever, and which may or may not work. But so for me, I have taken a lot from various people who produce content, but it's not the be all and end all. I certainly don't take everything that is said with that same oh, this is great kind of thing. So yeah, I don't think I deify anyone, but there are some pretty
absolutely
damn good ones out there.
And I think that's actually an important thing, because there are some brilliant creators out there. And there are some really people who I would call leaders in the atheist community who I may not agree with them on everything, but I've learned a hell of a lot from them.
There are five great creators in this group here. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm the one who's not, aren't I?
Chris doesn't have any videos, doesn't do any more videos, so yeah, no, fuck him.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So Jay, tell us why it's important to deify Ed.
You shouldn't. Deify Jesus, but the hell with that God. He's a pop his ass. He let Jesus drown in a bowl of ramen. So
there we go. Well, it's all coming out. So if you're good, you get to spend eternity with Jesus. If you're bad, you're with
you
Ed.
get to spend eternity with the God. Who the hell wants that? He can't even grow a proper mustache. So,
is there a third option?
I think it's a very impressive mustache. I just want to say that. I think you've done well, and I'm not. You know what? Because we're doing Movember here in Australia, and I'm looking at this thing on my face, just going, "It's not for me." Lissy's going, "I think it suits you." Oh, I'm starting to grow on me. I'm thinking, it's gone. It's 10 days. It's gone.
You need to grow the beard back. You need to grow the beard back.
Maybe,
you don't need to be long like me or scruffy nasty like Ed. But when we first met, you had that nice beard. It was nice and trimmed. It looked nice. That's what I missed. That I like that. That to me, that's Chris. This what you got going on here, just it ain't right. It was like me when I shaved. It wasn't right.
Just for you, I'll grow it back just for you.
But it's like I said, it was like me when I shaved mine. It wasn't right. So, but on that fact,
definitely went right.
Yeah. To put my 2 cents in on tip number 9, it's not good to deify anyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're atheist leaders, church leaders, TV personalities, sports entertainers. Don't deify anyone. It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do them any good. All you're going to do is you're going to cause problems. Especially if one of them disappoints you. Now your whole world is turned upside down. It's not good to deify anyone for anything. So that's my 2 cents.
Cool. All right. Just to answer Aunt Jer's question, that's a long story. I did cover it a bit on last week's Six Pack, so I won't run over it again. But flick me a message on Twitter, and I'll fill you in on the details. So yes, and to Gary and all the other people who are hanging shit on my moustache or attempted moustache, it's not as bad as you think. It's just that it's blonde, and I've got dark hair, so it's this weird kind of thing that just looks messed up on my face.
Are you bleaching the moustache, or do you dye your hair?
Neither, and that's the weird thing.
Wow, that is fucking weird.
Yeah, but when I grow a beard, I get it's like
gray,
dark and sort of grey. But then I just get this. It's like this blonde moustache. So I jokingly told Melissa I was gonna do the Hulk Hogan, just so I could sort of walk around doing that. No, she wasn't having any.
Yeah.
She wasn't having any part of it. All right, so we're going to move on to the very last tip for people leaving religion. Be kind to religious people. After all, you used to be one.
Just be kind to everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to be an atheist arsehole.
Yeah. The one thing that I see a lot, though, is when you're kind to somebody that's being a dick to yourself, all it does is piss them off even more.
It does.
Yep.
Yeah,
I will temper that, though. There are some religious people who deserve to be called out on being dicks and assholes, and they deserve it. A certain Darth Dawkins.
I was going to say rhymes with Hawkins.
Yeah.
Very simple. Be kind until it's time to not be kind.
Yeah, there's a point where they can be assholes enough that they don't deserve your kindness anymore.
Yeah.
They have to then earn it.
You know what? I'm going to use a line from a book I once read: "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you," and that's actually good advice. And I think it's really easy to get a bit smug, and you sort of see it's the whole stupid. And pardon the use of this term, but when people call people religtards and things like that, I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah.
I remember how I was when I was religious. If I had some smug arsehole atheist come at me with all this, oh, you're just stupid, and all the other crap that seems to get thrown out there, how do you think I'm going to react? I'm probably just going to go, mate, you're a dickhead. I'm not talking to you, and move on. You get more flies with honey than vinegar.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a floating head in the chat finally.
Hey! He's normally the first, but now he's the last.
Yeah, Chris, the one thing Pasta and I, little phrase we created and we throw around is because we do kind of take that. I don't know. Sometimes people, I think they feel like we're trying to be passive aggressive, which we're not. We're just trying to show them that as atheists and being these people that just have no moral standards, no moral compass, according to Christians, that we can be loving, compassionate, giving, caring people, and we'll go out of our way to do things for people, whether it's helping buy podcast equipment or sending money, especially right now, to help pay for bills or things like that. And the fun we have with it is we always say, well, we're trying to out Christian the Christians, and try to, so it's, we have fun with it, but it really at its core is we do care about humans. We care about the person. And even if you are a person that still holds that belief, we care about you as the individual. We could talk about the beliefs later on. So if you're in a position you can do that, or just with words and actions and deeds, just be nice to them, because like it was said just a minute ago, that will drive them up the wall. When you are nicer to them and you show more compassion and love than they do when they supposedly serve this God that is supposed to be love, so it's you can trump it.
But and also remember that people are just people, and I always think that look, my attitude is, if I'm doing something nice for someone, I'm just doing it because I want to do it, because I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
What their beliefs are, their politics, their thoughts on a range of issues, none of that matters. I think if there's someone who's in need and you can help them, you help them. Simple. Really simple. You just. But I think one thing the church will go out of their way to help people, but I guess there's always that that dual motivation. That yes, there are people in the church who are just genuinely doing it to be good people, but then there's other people who are doing it because they think it's their ticket to heaven, or it's it's for not necessarily a bad reason. I think that. I think when we help people, there's always a little bit of selfishness. I mean, if I help someone, I get a nice warm fuzzy feeling when I do it. So, there's certainly, a benefit to me. Yeah, warm and fuzzies. But I mean, I think it's, I had a chat to I did a podcast with a guy called Kurt Malberg, and he's a pastor now, and we ended up having a conversation because he wrote an article and there was some historical inaccuracies, and I sort of said, hey, there's a couple of things in here on Twitter. A few people jumped on me thinking that I was like a woke lefty atheist. I was like, no, I'm genuine here to have a chat. We ended up having a conversation. It was a really nice, genuine conversation. And you know what? I think everyone who watched that conversation benefited from it. There was no yelling at each other. It was just respectful both ways. But at the end of it, I thought it was like I was having a conversation with myself 10 years ago. Like, he is where I was, like almost exactly. And I getting back to what I was saying before, if I had just encountered someone who was going to be an arsehole to me, well, just like I do with Darth Dawkins, I won't take them seriously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing is that, we're all human beings. We're all capable of being good and good to others, and all capable of being absolute pricks. And the difference for us as atheists or secularists is that we own our own actions. if we're being an asshole to somebody, it's because we've chosen that. It's down to us. We're the ones being the asshole. And if we do something good, it's off our own bat. It's because of who we are as people. Whereas a lot of religious people would rather give the credit for what's bad to whatever their devil is, or the good to whatever their God is, and not take a responsibility upon themselves. I often see it as a shedding of responsibility.
Now, Matt, you said something interesting in the chat. Did you want to? I might get you to expand on that.
Oh, the suffix thing.
That's the one.
That's really pissed me off. The religitard, the whatever tard, the this tard, the that tard. I'm my foster daughter who is 17, who's we've fostered her. Well, she was 7 when she came to us. She's got a pretty long list of medical challenges. She was born deaf. She has ichthyosis, a skin challenge, moderate intellectual disability, a few other things going on. But whenever I hear someone put tard at the end of something, I seethe. I find it difficult to be kind, purely because it's slack, it's thoughtless, it's lazy, and it achieves nothing.
Yeah, I agree. As someone who's got a child with challenges as well, it pisses me off as well.
If your arguments are ad hominems, they're not arguments.
Yeah, spot on.
Exactly.
Spot on.
So has anyone else got anything on, I guess, this or any of the other tips? Any final thoughts? What do we think?
I'm just
quiet.
Enjoying the buzz of being part of this fabulous conversation again.
It's cool, isn't it? It's good.
Yeah.
You can see why I do it every week. It's so bloody addictive.
Yeah, well, I think you have to do what's right for you. At the same time, try and, of course, think about others or whatever, but you have to do what's right for you to be healthy, because you can't help anybody if you can't help yourself.
Right. And I'll say, first of all, Chris, thanks for having me, and everybody. It was great having this conversation with you guys. It was, I really enjoyed this. And kind of piggyback off of that, just question everything. Don't take anything at face value. Just because mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, pastor, youth pastor, your best friend tells you that something is real or that something is true, doesn't mean it is. At one point in my life, my parents told me that, yes, absolutely, Santa Claus is real. Guess what? Santa Claus isn't real. So question.
Whoa. Hang on. What? Then where do the presents come from, Oz? Where do the presents come from?
Chris, we'll have this conversation offline. I'll walk you through this.
Does it need batteries?
What does it mean?
Yours might.
Yeah.
And 2 hours and 3 minutes.
I'm home now. They're right beside me.
Oh, they're always there.
2 hours and 3 minutes.
No, I don't take them away with me.
I think that might be a record there. 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Oh no! I started this right at the beginning, Jay. You
did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had some classic Jen.
We have. I would just like to add to what Oz said that, along with asking questions, make sure you listen to the answers.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no point asking a question if you're not going to listen and try and understand what the person's talking about. Even if you don't agree with them, have a listen. Try and get a feel for their perspective, and then you have a stronger position. You have a stronger part in your position if you've listened to them and you can refute what's being said. And if you can learn something from that you then agree with, then you've also grown. So make sure you listen to.
So I'm gonna plug something really quick here, because this actually ties in what Oz and Jen both said. If you want a good example of someone questioning and someone answering back and forth, go watch The Conspiracies with me and Bobby.
Yeah.
Those are perfect examples of both of us questioning what the other one is saying and giving answers, and both of us listening to what the other one has to say. And not just blowing it off. Oh, well, the Earth's, it's obvious the Earth's not flat. But I listened to what Bobby had to say. I come back with questions. We went back and forth. It's still a globe, but I took what he had to say and I listened to what he had to say. Same thing with every other conversation we had. You can't automatically, just because you don't disagree with it, throw the other person's opinion out the window. If you can back up what they're saying is wrong and they can understand that, then you are educating not only themselves, you're educating yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think those conversations, and you're right, they are good examples of conversations where your mind was never going to change. His mind was never going to change. I found it fascinating the way that you would both look at the same thing and come to these different conclusions on it. Mm-hmm. But you know what? You did so in a respectful manner. And if Bobby were to go over there or you were to come over here, I have no doubt that we would all sit down, have a couple of beers and have a great laugh and a good time and talk about everything else apart from is the Earth flat?
I reckon you get into a few conspiracy theories, but I think that'd be different ones.
Yeah, there's always every time I have a catch up with Bobby, there's always a conspiracy theory that we.
Is there always a new one that he's discovered?
No, he's really on the satanic Hollywood stuff at the moment.
Is he still on that?
He's right into it. He's right into it.
Satanic Hollywood.
So it's always interesting when
must not be named.
Yes. Yeah, it's look, you know what? It's an interesting conversation, but he's still my best mate. We hold different views. I don't care.
I love Bobby. I think he's freaking awesome.
He's a legend. He's but I mean, by the same token, his view on flat Earth is religious. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, Jen, how are you doing with the death of Sean Connery?
Oh, shut up.
But for those who don't know,
there are plenty of
Sean Connery was the love of Jen's life.
Yeah,
there was posters up everywhere, and it's the reason she had to go away for a few weeks was because, anyway, we were thinking. So, final thoughts. I mean, Grumpy, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are, no matter how difficult it may seem to get away from religion, there is a way out if you're looking for that. If someone is happy in their religion and they're being, a good person, let them be. If a religion helps somebody get through their life and helps them to be a better person, let them be.
So be it. So be it. What I would like to say, I guess, is something. Anyone who's watching this that is in religion and I guess has watched it, not just for the witty banter, but because they do want to understand how to leave religion, by all means, please do reach out to, I think, any one of us. You can get most of us on Twitter. The links will be in the description below.
On the cesspool.
Yep.
Yes,
yep.
he is.
I'm easy.
Apparently, he's very easy.
Atheist_pastor. So at atheist_pastor, you'll find me there. By all means, reach out, because I think any one of us here has had an experience and is happy to help as much as we can, keeping in mind none of us are mental health professionals, but we certainly we can certainly point you in the right direction, or
and we can listen.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. Which is
sometimes that's all. Sometimes that's all somebody needs is somebody there to listen.
Yep, absolutely.
That's it. All right. So where can we find everyone? Jen, plug.
Here on Friday nights usually. No, over on my channel, Jens Lil Corner, or on Twitter, Jens Lil Corner. I do all sorts of things, often sciencey at the moment. I will be doing a Stump Jen tomorrow night, where people ask me questions and see if they can confuse me or whatever. Then I'm also doing another one of those.
That happens every Friday night.
Yeah, that really? Kind of does, doesn't it? And then I'll be doing another one of those that will be. So that's tomorrow night my time, which will be Saturday morning for you guys in the US. And there's another one that we're doing on Tuesday morning my time, which will be Monday night for the US, where I will have Matt, as in not a scientist, and Yeah, not a scientist, not a doctor. Sorry, not a doctor. And Navadia joining me for that one, and you can ask all three of us questions and try and stump us, because that should be a lot of fun. So
Always good fun.
So yeah, always good fun.
Ed, where can people find you? And if people want to be abused by a grumpy old dude, what should they do?
All right. So I do have my channel back up on YouTube, Grumpy Old Dude. I am actually in the process of putting most, if not all of my videos up on BitChute. I'm going to actually get a channel going up on there also. You can find me on Twitter. I think my handle now is #1GrumpyOldDude1. I don't know. I do have a video coming out Sunday that a lot of people probably aren't going to like, but I will say this.
You say that about all your videos.
Yeah, you say about every one of them.
Yeah,
listen,
and they're all good.
I'm going to say this. Pay attention to what I'm saying in this video. Don't just hear one thing and say, oh, that's it. I'm not listening to nothing else, because that's wrong. I don't agree with that. Listen closely to what I'm saying in this video and see if you have a different opinion, or maybe you'll agree with it. At this point, I don't care, because this is definitely a grumpy video coming out Sunday.
Make sure you put that at the beginning of your video.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
I think I said it in there a couple of times. You can leave me a thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't care.
No, I meant listening to the whole thing before you make a decision.
Yeah, I did. And I will have some links in the description for evidence from my video. I'm going to give you a trigger warning now. The video evidence that I'm going to link is absolutely disturbing and disgusting. So watch them at your own risk.
Mr. Oz, tell us about Tart. What's Tart, and why should people subscribe to it and find it?
Tart. Let me tell you about Tart. We're 5 knuckleheads. No, we have we have a lot of exciting stuff going on right now. We our last 2 nights did 2 nights. It's my whole day's messed up right now, Chris. But the last 2 nights we started kind of the trial episodes for our live call-in show. You can go onto our YouTube channel there and watch those. But Tart, we just love to have conversations with anybody and everybody, but especially theists, about what they believe, why they believe it. We're big fans and promoters of street epistemology and going down those lines of questions. But on the site there that Chris had pulled up, the main one for this show's purpose that I wanted to point out is the Tart Helps. If you go there, you can see and click on that button, and you can start a text message with somebody. And again, it's anonymous, and that's just there for you to talk. The people that are behind that number are not professionals; they're just friends. But if you need professional help, or you want to seek professional help, my email is right there, austin@tart.live, and I will get you hooked up with a secular therapist that's actually certified, licensed, all that fun stuff, and we can get you hooked up with some help.
And I'm going to have to apologize to Oz, because I just realized I wasn't subbed.
it's all good.
Oh no, Dan.
But you are now, right?
I am now. Yeah.
Okay.
I have to make a quick apology. Thanks to Dave for putting all my links up there, but I'm not going to be doing Patreon. So please don't even go to Patreon and look for me. There's no videos on there. There's not going to be any videos on there. I may start it up again sometime in the future. Just not right now.
Incidentally, anyone who does want to support Ed, the easiest way to do that is to go to his OnlyFans page.
Yep, OnlyFans.com.
There we go again.
/Fappy Old Dude.
Fappy Old Dude.
I'm sure Gary Priestley can put the link up. I think he's the manager for that one. So
I do not have an OnlyFans, you fuckers.
Yeah, that's what someone who did have an OnlyFans would say.
That's not like a guilty fuckers.
Yep. Hashtag happy old dude.
That's the one.
Oh
now, Matt doesn't have a channel, but Matt, plug whatever you want to plug. Go for it.
I've really got to get off my ass and get some of this sort of stuff happening. It just occurred to me before. I don't even have an email address that's not my sort of normal one. And I'm running on 1% battery here, folks, with the charger working its little guts out, trying to keep the phone going. So a couple of things I've learned from tonight. Get at least an email that I can use for all of these sorts of chats. Next thing is get a proper cradle for my phone, so I'm not doing this all the time. Get a bit of a setup happening, so I'm going to do that. But I'm Jolly Green Slug with 2 G's on Twitter. That is a bit of a handle that I've used for a lot of things over the years, so a lot of history stuff and all of that sort of thing. But I think I'll have some chats with some of you about getting a bit of a channel going myself.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
whatever we can do to help.
We will help.
Story. Yep,
that'd be awesome. Thank you very much, folks. Really 100%. Appreciate it.
I'll even subscribe to you. Jen doesn't subscribe to anyone, but
there we go. I'm on.
Here we go. Jay, what's going on, man?
What's happening?
What's happening, dude?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I got 2 days off this weekend. I'm excited.
Are you streaming this weekend?
No, I'm not streaming this weekend. I'm gonna take some time, but rumor mill going around the tavern is there may be a short little redneck making an appearance this weekend.
Oh,
a video. So you might want to keep an eye out on that one.
Cool.
All right. Well, if you're not subbed, make sure you do sub because that'll be interesting to see what happens there.
For those of you who are completely clueless, because I can see Matt and Oz are going, "What the hell?" There's a little dwarf that runs around the tavern. Him and his cousin, where he's a Christian flat earther that debunks everybody else's videos. So and he's brain dead. That'd be Jody
Christian flat earther.
Yeah, it's Jody the Dwarven Hammer. He's debunked the likes of Sideman Dan, Mr. Atheist, Creaky Blinder. Yeah, Creaky Blinder. So yeah, it's 100% satire. So if anybody takes it seriously, and it's funny because I put it in the title of the video, a satire. And I still get comments on the videos going, "This is stupid. That's not what it is." Did you not read the title of the video? It says right in the title, "This is satire."
Well, Jay,
people don't read anymore.
Jay, I think the problem is not enough people actually pick up a dictionary and look up the word satire. Like, what is satire? It's like it's supposed to be funny.
What kind of atheist god is satire?
Yeah,
stupid atheist. Except he's not he's a Buddhist, yeah.
But there will be 2 videos out. You know, whether or not the redneck dwarf shows up or not, that's still debatable. I'm still kind of but I'm not sure if I want to let him back just yet. But Vogon poetry and Klingon. So Vogon poetry and Klingon love poems will be coming out this weekend.
And when are you doing Cthulhu?
That will probably be next week.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
really? Cthulhu is coming.
There will be a big warning at the beginning of that video.
Everyone's favorite ancient Roman poet. So yes. All right. So as I mentioned, next week we've got.
You should do the Jabberwocky as well, Jay.
Oh, before you go, Chris, before you start, I also have 2 other ones coming up. One is the actual reading of what Plato actually said about Atlantis. So I'm going to read that out. And then the other one is I'm actually going to read Agenda 21. Actually read through the entire agenda so these conspiracy theorists will not get the fuck off. They won't, but because nowhere in Agenda 2021 does it ever say anything or even hint at population control.
You've got to do the noise now, Jay.
I can't. I can't do the wookie noise.
I thought Jay said exit. I thought he said Exodus 21. I got all excited.
Probably just as good, I reckon.
Yeah. You might end up in a sticky situation.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, the conspiracy theories believe that Agenda 21 is the United Nations New World Order thing to bring about population control. They're going to wipe out population. Yeah, and actually, what Agenda 21 is, if I remember right, I got to read back through it again because I get two of them mixed up. I believe is the Antarctic Treaty.
For fuck's sake!
But I could be wrong. Like I said, I get Agenda 21 and another one mixed up quite often.
We don't need any political agendas to change.
To
control our population. We're going to end up doing that with climate change.
Yeah. The Rage says, I thought the oil companies were already doing population control.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, okay, that's it. That's all I got. Other than that, and I'm learning to play the bass guitar. That's it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it was you playing before, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, did you hear me?
All right.
Yeah,
we heard you.
Yeah. Now Chris is going to get a strike because you were playing.
My streams are never going to get monetized. Let's not kid ourselves.
Your streams aren't going to get monetized.
Not with Jen on, it won't. None of mine will ever get monetized because freaking Jen.
That's like because you have me as a guest.
No one can ever accuse me of being in this for the money because if I was, there'd be no Jen.
That's like last week. If I was in it for the money, I wouldn't be doing debunking conspiracy theories or talking, about religious, anti-religious stuff. I'd be full on nut job because those are the ones that get all the subscribers and get all the money.
Why do you think I don't get asked to be on all the big channels? It's because people know that my mouth is like a sewer.
Your mouth has no
We wouldn't have you any other way, Jen. We wouldn't have you any other way. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up now because we have been going for a bit longer than originally planned. So next week we've got a conversation on talking with religious people and if we can do it better. And we've also got on Sunday, so not this Sunday but the next Sunday, the first birthday party, 1 year of Friday Night Six Pack. Six Pack's turning 1. So we're going to have a stack of people on for that. It's going to be
Saturday morning my time?
Or Sunday morning your time.
Sunday morning my time? Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. But
when's that?
Is it next week, right?
Next week.
Sunday next week, yeah.
Okay, so after Thanksgiving. Okay.
Yeah. So it's and that's going to be a bit of a more relaxed. I might try and find some of the best bits of Six Pack that we can all sort of have a bit of a laugh at, and probably get some people on, and some people who haven't been on the channel for a while. See if we can drag a few out of retirement and get them back on for a bit of a celebration. So and everyone here is invited, of course. And I'll be dragging as many as I can, up early on a Sunday morning or late on a Sunday night. So
better get Bobby in, damn it.
Oh, Bobby will be in. Yeah, he won't.
Oh yeah, better have Bobby.
Right. So Bobby will come in for that one. So don't worry.
All the old regulars.
Absolutely, we'll get everyone.
All of them, really? All of them?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jay. I think we have to invite all of them. It's not fair otherwise.
One I can do. The other one.
There's a few that might be on a bit of a that I might be on a bit of a blacklist for anyway. So they may not all come up. There's one or two who might be a little bit cranky with me at the moment. But
Sean Alexander says the 6-pack anniversary needs to be a kegger.
Oh, you know what? You had me.
Great idea. Exactly.
There might be. Yes, you're right. There might be two of the olders who might not be prepared to come back.
That's all right. I probably wouldn't send an invite, so that's okay. It's not at this stage. Maybe down the track when things cool down.
Got to make sure you send Ilya and Punchy.
Oh, definitely Ilya and Punchy.
Yeah,
and Steve.
100%. Everyone. We'll get the whole school.
Matt's got to come back.
Who's in the chat there?
Matt was on one of the
Sassy.
earliest six pack there was. So
yeah,
we want Dave and we
right.
want Sassy.
Absolutely.
We'll
even get Gary Priestley in.
Yeah, get Gary in.
We'll drag Gary in. Absolutely. I think we'll do that. Anyway, that being said, no, don't worry about her. She's all right. I see enough of her. That's okay. Joking. Love you, darling. Sorry. All right. Well, everyone, thank you, everyone who has been a part and watched with us. Have a good night, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, or good whatever it is, wherever the hell you are on this beautiful globe that we all occupy.